Hold on one second. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Okay. But so I'm going to tell you, a plea deal. Joran Sloot, remember him? He's accepted a plea deal for the death or involving the death, we're going to find out, of 18-year-old Natalee Holloway in Aruba before she vanished in 2005. Today, Sloot actually pleaded guilty to extortion and wire fraud for trying to sell information about the location of Natalee Holloway's body to Natalee's mom. Now, he was sentenced to 240 months in prison. The defendant is currently serving another 28-year sentence in Peru for the murder in 2010 of Stephanie Flores. He's going to finish out that sentence before heading to the United States to serve time on the extortion and wire fraud charges. And our very own law and crime correspondent, Terry Austin, is out in Alabama now to bring us the latest. Terry, I am so excited to have you join us because I am excited for the Holloway family to maybe get some resolution here about this crime. To start off, what did we learn from today's court hearing?
Well, today's court hearing was very interesting because the plea deal did include information regarding the murder and disappearance of, we know, frankly, Natalee Holloway. And initially, he was here, obviously, just for the two charges under United States law for the wire fraud and for the extortion. So clearly, Linda, he pled guilty to that. But in the statement itself, there are details, and we haven't seen all of those details, but we do know that he did admit to killing Natalee, and he did admit to killing Stephanie Flores. He did admit to putting Natalee's body in the water. We don't know many other details. I will tell you that the judge was very good at providing the information to the parties. Anna Manusco, she is the judge here, and she went back and forth between the defense and between the plaintiffs. She made sure that, you know, the defendant here, Joran Sloot, understood what he was doing. He was giving up his rights, he was waiving his rights, and he pled guilty to these two charges. And as you said, he will be going to Peru to finish out his sentence there, and then he will be coming back here to finish the sentence here. And she did give him the maximum, and she explained why. She said it was a brutal crime and that it was very difficult for the family. We also, Linda, heard Beth talking about in her victim impact statement how difficult these years have been since 2005 when her daughter disappeared, and how they have been patient and they have been waiting, and that she does feel as though this has been a victory for her and her family.
And focusing on her, when Joran Sloot was giving his allocution, telling the judge about the fact that he did admit to killing Natalee, were other relatives in the courtroom, either his or other relatives besides Beth? And what was the feeling in that courtroom when you first heard that for the first time?
Well, Beth is in the room, and her husband, ex-husband is in the room. Matt was in the room. And when the defendant stood up to speak, he didn't, say much. All he said in the courtroom versus what he said in the plea agreement was, I am sorry for what I did. I am sorry to the Holloway family. I am sorry to my family. And I am a different person from what I was at the time. And I have, quote unquote, found Jesus. So he kept it short. He, made sure he apologized, and then he sat down. Now, our understanding is that the plea agreement has much more information, and that it is admitting to the two deaths, and that it is admitting to how he did it. We did not get that detail from the judge, although, as I mentioned, Beth, the mom, did mention bludgeoning, and I'm assuming that that is all in the plea agreement. Otherwise, we would not have known that. So, very interesting information should be coming out once that is made public. I think we'll have far more details than we do right now. Right now, I think the closure comes from knowing that he did it. And one thing I'll say is during the press conference subsequent to the conviction and the sentencing, Beth did say she was certain based on the plea agreement, that he was the only one involved. So there seems to be quite a bit of details in that plea agreement where he's talking about exactly what happened, when they left that bar, where he took her, how he did it, and what he did with her remains.
Terry, is there any scuttlebutt around the courthouse about why he would agree in the plea agreement for wire fraud and extortion to admit to the crime of murder of Natalee Holloway and, as you're telling us, disclosing that he put her body in the water, although I don't know whether or not he disclosed specifically where?
You know, the assumption being, Linda, that he just wanted to resolve it. The rationale is, you know, a bit unclear. Obviously, he's serving the time that he's serving in Peru, the 28 years for the death of Flores, and another 18 years on top of that, apparently, for, you know, drugs within the prison system when he was there. So, you know, a total of 46 years. But what the judge said is that after he apparently he has 22 years left. That's what he has left. So after he serves those 22 years, then he will come back. And if he gets out early, he will come back. And he promised that in the plea agreement that he will come back. So I think the judge made clear that you aren't getting away with, you know, not serving your time here, even if you get out a little bit earlier under the Peruvian, you know, deal that he did there, the conviction.
Now, you meant something that anyone who followed this case knew. There was a question about whether other people were involved. I think he had a friend that night he was with, and also whether his father had helped him hide the body of Natalee Holloway or dispose of the body. That seems to be addressed, that he was exonerating his friends and his family?
Well, that was not mentioned today in court, but I will tell you that that's what Beth Holloway said when she came outside, simply that, not that anyone was exonerated. Her exact words were, "I am confident that he is the only one involved." So based on that, I think we'll wait, obviously, until we get the plea agreement, because we don't know what those details are. But it does appear as though no one else was involved, and he is taking full responsibility for his actions as they relate to both of these women, but particularly as it relates to Natalee Holloway.
And Terry, one final question before I let you go. When will we, the public, see the plea agreement that Joran van Sloot finally admitted to the facts of killing Natalee Holloway?
Yeah, my understanding, Linda, is that they are going to release that, you know, immediately after the sentencing. The judge finalized the sentencing, and it's all said and done. I will say she was excellent in terms of, you've seen these kinds of pleas before, I'm sure, Linda, where you go through the questions. Do you understand what your attorney said? Are you confident, you know, about what you're doing here? It was scripted, I would say. And so, you know, I expect that right after today, they will be releasing. They filed all of the paperwork that they needed to right then and there in court. So my expectation is that we'll see that plea agreement relatively forthwith.
As usual, Terry Austin, great reporting. I know you'll be right on top of the plea agreement when it gets released to come back and talk to us about it. And I'm going to let you go now and follow up on that. And right now, we are going to take a quick break. On the other side, we will talk about this case and all the other cases we are covering. Stay with us. We are the Law and Crime Network.